Hello everyone, this is Korosh Erfani and today is Monday, January 19, 2026. The subject that I am going to unpack and explain you some of the root causes is the issue of Greenland. As we know, President Trump has been talking about that, threatening the invasion of Greenland for a while, and this is something that had been planned, we can say. You remember we said that the United States is right now under control of a Zionist circle, and they designed everything so that the United States can become the United States of Israel, or we said the notion of the greater Israel will be translated into the future of the United States. So there won't be any United States of America in the future, but just the United States of Israel. I explained it in my last video, previous video, and you can watch it if you want. So right now it's a matter of a new mission, and this is a strategic mission that can be translated in a few words. So the United States is tasked, is assigned with the mission of invading Greenland on behalf of Greater Israel, right, for the benefit of the future Greater Israel, which will be the United States. So we said that the United States must be sacrificed completely in order to achieve several goals across the world, so that when the Greater Israel is established, can have everything for itself, in order to dominate effectively the world and create what they call the world Jewish government. So we can see that this is a very nasty and negative ambition for the world, because it will put in question the world order. Imagine that the European Union, with all its dependence on the United States, has to review everything and has to become a kind of competitor or even enemy for the United States, because right now we have tension increasing between the United States and the European Union. So that's why it's important. But I would like to use a very interesting presentation by an account called Reach Inside, which worked on this subject and made a very interesting presentation regarding what's going on in relation to Greenland. And as you can see, it says that Greenland was never about land, it was about control, and there are 10 reasons that's presented as the real reason. So we know that President Trump doesn't have any clue about the strategic view across the world, Europe and so on. These are designed and planned by the very closed circle of Zionists for the United States, and we can see that President Trump is just an executive, right? He doesn't have any really choice to follow the different steps that had been designed by the Zionists because of the Epstein file, because of the possibility of having everything, power, wealth, and being, of course, entertained for the last phase of his life. So it's a very good deal between Trump and the Zionists who brought him to this position. The position of the United States president. All right, let's see what are these 10 reasons because it can give us a very good insight about how the Zionists are planning globally and strategically their domination across the world. Starting with the first, so we are going from the least important to the most important. As you can see, the 10th reason, the least important, is just the legacy that President Trump can leave. As you saw in his letter today to the Norwegian Prime Minister, he is talking about the fact that as Norway didn't want to give him the Peace Nobel Prize, so he doesn't feel himself anymore attached to the notion of peace. So no problem. If there is no peace, let's do war. Let's wage war, right? That's the idea. So he wants to leave this legacy in the history of the United States, United States of Israel. Later, the people will talk about Trump as someone who annexed Greenland, to the United States, had added effectively to the territory to the United States. We are talking about 836,000 square miles, and of course it's a huge, because it's even bigger than Louisiana Purchase, in the history, if you know, or even bigger than Alaska. So that would be really a big win for the United States, and Trump wants to have it under his name. That's, I think, the least important reason. Another one, from here we start to have the serious reasons and matters. Fresh water, because we know that fresh water will be the oil of the 21st century, right? That's why, as we know, the Greenland holds something like 10% of the world fresh water. So when you have it, it means that you are controlling that amount of fresh water. Of course, there is a very interesting function for having this amount of water under your control, because then you can control many other things like agriculture, energy, the life in the different part of the world and cities, and also the survival of the population, right? So imagine that in the future Israel has the control of 10% of the world's fresh water, only and only through the Greenland that will be occupied by the United States, if it happens. Another one is the Polar Silk Road. This is something very serious, because right now the people are trying across the different countries in the world, Russia, China, Asia, to create, to use the Arctic as a part of a Silk Road that is called Polar Silk Road. So it comes from Asia, it goes to Europe, and if you can establish the Silk Road, it means that you don't need any more to Suez Canal, and there is no more any importance for the Middle East, and of course Israel cannot play any essential role over there in the Middle East. So that's why in order to control the world trade, having Greenland means that you are dominating, you are possessing somehow this Polar Silk Road. The 7 is the strategic real estate of the future. Why? Because for Trump, as he said, it's a matter of a big, a great real estate issue, real estate deal. So we are talking about the future, of course, of the Greenland. But don't forget that this is a huge land that can have a lot of ports, harbors, the Arctic ports. There are many space research hubs over there, and potentially for much more to come. There are already military infrastructures, but you can build over there the biggest military infrastructure in the world, given its superficies, and of course the energy cities. You can have a lot of a source of energy in order to dispatch and to sell it to the whole Europe. So that's why it's a real strategic real estate for the future. Another one is the energy dominance, as we have been talking. You know, in Greenland you can find potentially something like 13% of undiscovered oil, according to scientific studies. 13% of undiscovered oil and 30% of undiscovered gas. So huge amount of oil and gas for the future. And of course, if you have the energy in under your control, it means that you have leverage, you have influence, you have power, you have source of income and everything. This is what Israel wants for the future. Another one, as you know, right now, the great part of the rare earth is under monopoly of China. So they are trying to break down this monopoly, and it looks like that in Greenland you have the interesting and important source of rare earth, which is necessary for anything that we are using, the electric vehicle, cell phones, you know, and in the future weapons, satellites, everything. So if Greenland has these kind of reserves over there, you can understand how it is important to take control of that. The fourth reason is rehabilitating, you know, reviving the Monroe doctrine, which means that in the Western Hemisphere, no other power than the United States must take place, right? Must take foot, let's say, hold foot. So it means that thanks to this occupation by the United States, China or Russia or any other power, including European powers, for example, cannot really take control of the Western Hemisphere, and the United States will become the only one, according to the Monroe Doctrine, the only one that can establish its empire, and the borders of the empire will be safe, right? That's the idea. We are talking about the Zionist empire in the future, with the greater Israel established in the United States of America. The third one is the famous GIUK or GIUK naval checkpoint. So this is something very interesting. Let me show you a map, and you can see where this GIUK gap it is. Here you have the United Kingdom, you have Iceland, and here is Greenland. And these are the gap through which the different navy are going, coming and going. So imagine that if they can control this GIUK gap, it means that they can control, they can block the road, you know, for Russia, for China, for any other power that is coming over there. So that's why it's very important to have on the one hand United Kingdom, in the middle Iceland, and you know that Trump was suggesting more or less, seriously or not, the idea of taking control of Iceland as well, Greenland and Iceland. So once you have these three countries together, of course you can control anything that could be kind of passage for that part. Imagine that Russian submarines, in order to go to the Atlantic, pass from there, and you can control it. So that's the idea of having Israel over these three parts of the world: Greenland, Iceland, and United Kingdom, in with the objective of controlling all the important strategic passages of naval forces of Russia, China, European over there. Another one is the Arctic missile defense. They want to create effectively a space, where anything coming from the other parts of the world toward the United States will be prevented, with a kind of proactively action, right? That's much far from the United States, and from that moment they can detect the ICBMs over there, the hypersonic weapons, the space threat, anything, thanks to the famous, because Greenland hosts the famous Pitofik space base. Is a huge space base over there that the United States built, and of course they can develop it once the Greenland is invaded. And finally, we can talk about this one, blocking China and Russia to come over there. Don't forget that China has a very developed strategy for that part under name of Polar Silk Road, and they tried, the Chinese are trying to have kind of bases over there, not military bases, but having a foothold over there in order to facilitate their trades and transactions. So in this way, of course, if once you have the Greenland, you can prevent Russia from the militarization of the Arctic, and China from getting, with the idea of near Arctic status. This is what China wanted. Greenland can block both superpower. This is the idea of Israel in order to become a superpower, actually, the only superpower with the idea of the Jewish world government. So here again, we are in the case of what's happening right now within the United States, right? Moving forward with the Israeli agenda in the United States, right? And as you can see, everything had been set in such a way that President Trump can do whatever is necessary. As you can see, the checks and balances are gone. There is no more checks and balances in the United States. Trump waged almost 7 different military actions without having any authorization from Congress. So this means that right now the United States is exactly imitating the lawlessness that Israel established in the Middle East, right? Because right now Israel is considered as a lawless state, a state that doesn't care about law, international law, or whatever you want to call that. Is a rogue state, and the United States also has become a rogue state by putting in question and calling into question anything that can be considered as constitutional limitation, constitutional restriction, or limitation by law, international law, or whatsoever. So this is a dramatic change. This is a huge shift in the world order, and we are going through a process that will make a new world, without any doubt. Of course, we are going to have wars, without any doubt. We are going to have several wars, as we called 2026 as the year of wars. We are going to have civil wars, and also international conflict, international military conflict, international wars. And from that moment, you will see that capturing Greenland is just one part of the huge conflict that Israel organized for the world in 2026. Today, Netanyahu threatened directly Iran to be bombed by the nuclear weapons. Okay, so we don't have any doubts that Israel is preparing whatever is necessary in order to pass to act. A few days ago, the new generation of the Israeli nuclear weapons had been tested in Dimona. So we know that they have now a new form of the nuclear bombs that they want to use in Iran, and this is a clear message, not only to Iran but also to the whole Arab countries in the region, but mainly to the United States, that we are ready and we can do whatever we want, because today Israel announced that we are practically ready to to face anything that is coming from Iran. Even if there is a barrage of 700 missiles, this is the biggest number that is estimated Iran can send toward Israel. And Netanyahu has been sending this message to President Trump that we are ready for such an amount of quantity of missiles that coming, which means that we are ready. Everything had been prepared, and from now on we can pass to act, right? So the United States doesn't have any choice. President Trump doesn't have any choice. This is one part of his mission in exchange of power, wealth, and everything to bomb Iran. And we are going to have in the coming days or weeks a new conflict between the United States and Iran with the active participation, active contribution of Israel to the conflict. And from that moment you will see that all these actions will lead to a huge regional war that we have already talked about. We said that that would be the mother of wars, because as we formulated, there would be a matter of the existence either for Iran or for Israel. One of these two cannot exist anymore after this war we are talking about. Okay, so that would be the most suicidal war imaginable in the region or maybe in the world. Okay, so you will see that the war between Russia and Ukraine that's coming to have at least 5 years, I think, in the February, will be something extremely small or marginal compared to what is going to happen in the Middle East. There is no boundary for imagining even what is going to happen over there, because right now there are the negotiations between Turkey with Pakistan and Saudi Arabia in order to create this triangle which will be the main tool to control Israel. And I think Israel will act before such a strategic defense alliance can take form and can take shape in the Middle East. So that's why we are witnessing a kind of acceleration of the process in the Middle East, and very soon it can trigger this huge, destructive, regional, all-out war in the in the Middle East. We will see. We are monitoring that, and we are monitoring also the coup in the United States. We got the news, several armed groups like the Black Tigers, but also other groups are joined to Black Tigers in order to prepare armed civil defense, in Minnesota, which means that very soon, if there is the arrival of the army, the soldiers of the U.S. Army, we are going to have the first episode of the long story of the second civil war in the United States from Minnesota in Minneapolis, and then it will spread across the United States. We will see that, we will monitor that, and we are going to talk more about that. I want to ask you, as it's very hard to hear the voices that are different from what we hear in the mainstream media or in the even independent media, but with a very conventional view. So what I do here is trying to present a different point of view, a different opinion that is not that much conventional. So that's why I cannot really reach a broader audience if you don't help me. So that's why I ask you to spread the word and to share the link of this video as much as you can, so that we can have more and more people listening to a different point of view. It doesn't mean that what I say is right or is going to happen. This is a different theory, just a different point of view, but it's good to have the different opinions so that we can make a better understanding of the reality. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.